Welcome back. We are now 4 days away from Election Day. 4 days with 63 million people already casting their votes early. Former President Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris focusing on Western battleground states yesterday, both campaigning in Nevada and Arizona, with singer Jennifer Lopez on the verge of tears, joining Harris at a rally in Las Vegas yesterday. Trump also rallied in blue-leaning New Mexico. New Fox News polls of key battleground states show a neck-and-neck race. Trump narrowly leads in North Carolina, while Harris is topping Trump in Michigan. In Pennsylvania, they are tied, both with 48% of voter support. I'm not sure about these polls, but this is what the numbers show, a real tight race. Former President Ronald Reagan's chief speechwriter laid out 3 reasons that Harris will lose the election in a new Wall Street Journal op-ed this morning. He writes this: traditional Democrats are deserting the party. She was unprepared, and she has no clear message. Fox News Media shares common ownership with the Wall Street Journal, as you know. Joining me now, Republican political analyst and campaign strategist Ford O'Connell. Ford, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here.
Great to be with you, Maria.
What do you make of this op-ed this morning? The former speechwriter for Ronald Reagan comes up with 3 reasons why Kamala Harris will lose, he says.
I would actually add a 4th reason, and that's the fact that she is too focused on Trump's past and not focused enough on America's future. I mean, she's not talking about the issues that matter. Inflation, securing the border. You know, all she wants to do is talk about the issues she wants to talk about, not the issues the American voters want to talk about. And I actually agree. And that's why Trump is a slight favorite to win, and he's on offense, and Kamala Harris is going backwards on the electoral map.
I mean, do you think he's only a slight favorite? I mean, there are some people out there talking about landslides. They're talking about, obviously, Trump in the lead in all these swing states, indicating that he's going to take, you know, this is going to be easy and it's going to be fast. How do you see it playing out?
At this point, I do think that he's basically going to run the table in the Sun Belt. He's going to win North Carolina. He's going to win Georgia. And he's going to win Arizona, particularly because inflation in the swing states is highest in Arizona and Nevada. Right now in Nevada, he's got a 47,000 early vote advantage. I think he's going to win all the swing states. The question is, which of the blue wall states of Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin can he pick off? Obviously, his most likely path is Pennsylvania, and if he wins Georgia, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania, he will be the 47th president of the United States.
Yeah. Cheryl, jump in here. You grew up in Arizona. I know you were there recently. What do you see in Arizona from the constituents?
Well, that's exactly my point, Maria, is because there's such a dichotomy happening in the state right now, because in one sense, you do see a large momentum for Donald Trump in that state, absolutely. And Caroline and I were talking in the break about the fact that there's more registered Republicans in Arizona than there are registered Democrats. At the same time, Ford, has the Trump campaign accounted for all of the Californians that moved from that state into Arizona during COVID that did not leave? And also there's an abortion initiative that's on the ballot. And then also the Democrats are really pushing for that younger female voter in that state. That may be maybe drilling this down too much, but I was really taking a look at a lot of things when I was there, Ford.
No question about it. Look, the demographics in Arizona have been changing because of basically trying to exit California. But I will say the voter registration in Arizona is trended towards the Republicans. Obviously, the key is always Maricopa County, which has more than half the population of the state. But I do think the fact that the inflation is highest in Arizona, the swing states, plus the fact they are very concerned about securing the border, those issues line up for Trump. And frankly, Kamala Harris hasn't offered them anything. That's why she's out there on the West Coast, is because she recognizes that, frankly, she's going to lose Arizona. She's trying to hold on to Nevada, which Democrats traditionally win. But again, like Arizona, inflation is extremely high in Nevada. They want to see the border secured. That's why Trump went to New Mexico. He understood, look, New Mexico is a reach for him, but at the same time, you've got the highest per capita Hispanics in the country at 48% in New Mexico. And if he can expand that electoral map and win New Mexico, he certainly will win the presidency.
Ford, you've been at this a long time, a real student of politics. I want to get your take on the closing arguments here. You know, President Trump has been making his closing argument all about policy. Once again, he's been talking about his plans throughout this campaign. Kamala Harris has not given us much information whatsoever on what she wants to do, and it appears her closing arguments are insults and slurs against Trump and his supporters. Of course, President Biden calls Trump supporters garbage. Kamala Harris calls Trump a fascist and Hitler. And then you've got, of course, billionaire investor and the Harris campaign surrogate, Mark Cuban, with the doozy of them all, for his remarks made on The View yesterday